Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. My name is Ross Benjamin of rbwins.com. I'm joined today by Jesse Shule of jesseshule.com, Sean Higgs of picksandparleys.net, and we got three college basketball free picks in the NCAA Tournament for games played on Saturday the 18th. Gentlemen, I'll start with you, Jesse. How are you?
Well, Ross, there will be no perfect 8-0 sweep in the first round this year. Had a bit of a tough day on opening day, but I am brimming with confidence heading into the second day of action.
As well you should be, Jesse, with your track record. One thing I could assure you folks, one of the best bets in the sports betting industry is when Jesse has a losing day, come back and follow him the next day. And the same goes for that gentleman below us here, Mr. Sean Higgs of picksandparleys.net, also host of one of the more popular sports betting podcasts on the internet today in Midday Money. Sean, how are you, my friend?
All right. And I again, 6-7, not a winning day. What am I going to do with the split outs? We're just talking off it. The 7-10 games killed me. I couldn't catch a break in those kind of pick 'em games with A&M and Boise, but we move on. What are we going to do? It's that's the name of the game. You know, I know the interwebs world has everybody going undefeated and hitting, 15-leg parlays that say hitting every side in total. But
yeah,
in the real world of betting, sometimes you lose a little bit here, like we have.
Yeah, well, the underdogs held their own yesterday. No two ways about it. I went 3-3. I guess you could say I made a slight profit because I had San Diego State as my best bet. And had it all away, guys, by the way, San Diego State. If those of you missed it, the Aztecs got fouled with 0.7 seconds to go and up down 4 and made both free throws and covered for me. And then also I had Furman. And what a finish that was. We were talking about it off air. And, Sean, you were mentioning what a crazy finish that was. And either you or Jesse did. And, lo and behold, like Jesse said, it looked like at one point that it was going to be in the last 20 seconds that Virginia was going to cover. And then Furman, thanks to some missed free throws and a horrible turnover in the last 10 seconds.
The end of that game when the kid from Furman went to the line, I'm like, oh, look at this. Giant white guy, easy money. 2 at the free throw line. He hits him. He's a 50% free throw shooter. I'm like, wow. I said, and then the 70% guy for Virginia, 77 misses 1 to 2 to give him life.
Yeah, well, as Jesse would say, he's a 50% free throw shooter, but he does make 50% of his free throws. Right, Jesse? It's always the cup is half full.
Half full with Jesse.
That is right.
So, all right, we got 3 games we're going to cover on Saturday. I'm going to be looking at San Diego State and Furman. Jesse is going to take on the Kansas and Arkansas game, and Sean is going to give us an intriguing matchup between Missouri and Princeton, 2 teams that you can make a case we didn't know if they were going to be there in round 2, Princeton especially. So coming off that big upset over Arizona yesterday. Jesse, let's start with you. This is a really, really good game. I heard some whispers on some articles today. This is a Final Four matchup in round 2. I beg to differ. I think Kansas is a legitimate Final Four contender. I'm not so sure Arkansas is, but more importantly, what do you think, Jesse?
Well, prepare yourselves because there's a rant incoming.
All right.
But I watch a lot of Midday Money, and on Midday Money, they refer to the Razorbacks as Arkansas. So it's Arkansas versus Kansas. And let me tell you that I did struggle yesterday. I had been talking about chasing underdogs, telling everybody that chasing dogs is a fool's errand heading into the tournament. And, I quoted a lot of statistics of how the 1 seeds, 2 seeds, 3 seeds have fared over the last 37 years. And, everybody today is talking about the dogs, Furman and Princeton winning outright. What everybody's not talking about, Kansas, Duke, Texas, UCLA, and Bama all winning by 20-plus points.
Yeah,
that's somehow just flies under the radar.
7-1 straight up, those favorites.
Yeah.
My theory that chasing dogs is a fool's errand, I'm sticking with that heading into day 2 and round 2. And there's no way I'm taking an inconsistent Arkansas team that lost 6 of their last 9 games heading into the tournament. Particular concern was the way they lost to Tennessee and Texas A&M twice. I think they've averaged less than 60 points per game in those losses. So that tells me when they run into these quality defensive teams, they struggle to score. I would say that Arkansas would have to be at their very best to compete with Kansas. And let's face it, when are they at their roughly a third of the time they bring their best? They're a very inconsistent team. And Kansas, the history on Kansas since 1985, they've gone past the second round 27 times, 6 times national champions. The line of 3.5 looks really low to me, and I wonder if it's got something to do with the coach Bill Self being having the health problems, but that didn't seem to bother them in their first round matchup. I can't let that influence the way I pick this game. So it's Kansas all the way for me, minus the 3.5.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like Kansas before the tournament started. I had mentioned even on our show that we did where we made our predictions on teams that we thought were going to win it all, our sleepers and all that. Kansas was included in that. So Sean, your take on that game?
Yeah, I know what kind of lunatic calls Arkansas Arkansas. Like, what is that? It says Arkansas right in the name there. He says Arkansas.
Man, we're going to get a lot of people that are Arkansas alums and all that chiming in on that.
He's right though. You come in the way they've been playing. I mean, I'm on Kansas myself. The line looks low, but I agree with Jess. It's got to be with Self out. And we saw them. Okay, you lose the Texas championship game, but they won the other games. They blew out. It's Howard. I get it, but maybe it's the old win one for the Gipper here. They go out there, win for the coach. The talent is still there. The assistant's been with Self for a while. It's not like he's, it's not Hoosiers where the guy, they just dragged him out of the bar and be like, here's the playbook, take over. And he's, got a shower in the sink before he gets on the court. I mean, he knows what he's doing over there. It's still Kansas. Yeah. And inconsistent teams, I can't, it's tough back at inconsistent teams this time of year.
You're talking about the drunk guy from Hoosiers.
Yeah, Dennis Hopper's guy.
Yeah, he played a great role in that movie. Yeah, but I mean, guys, this is your opinion. I mean, if you stop and think about it and looked at it from this angle, if the game was played at Arkansas, it would be somewhere around a pick'em or Arkansas -1. If it was played at Kansas, they'd be a 7 to 8 point favorite. Does that seem like it's logical to you then? If we put it in that perspective, Jesse, I'll start with you.
I mean, sure, but at the end of the day, I see Kansas every year going to the Elite Eight, Sweet 16, Final Four. I don't see Arkansas there.
Yeah, well, I guess what my question is, Jesse, and the same is the line. You both had mentioned it in not so many words that looks like a fishy line because it's so low. But when you put it into perspective, like I just alluded to, does that make more sense to you? Is what I'm trying to say, or do you
I think it should be between 5 and 6. 5.5 would be a more reasonable line to me.
Yeah, well, if that was the case, then Kansas would be about a 9.5 point favorite at home against Arkansas, which I think would be very high. But I don't know. You make a good point, both of you guys. Sean, just real quickly on that thought. I mean, I don't want to belabor the point.
But I think that would be right. I mean, Kansas was 9 point favorite over Texas Tech, West Virginia. I mean, 6 over Baylor. I mean, I think Baylor's a little better than Arkansas. That makes sense. But Arkansas being a favorite home, I could see that. And I would probably take an Arkansas at home -1. Like, why is Arkansas favored over the number 5 team? I got to take Arkansas there.
Yeah, well, exactly. but Arkansas also had a strong home court. Anyway, go ahead.
I think it's basically the line, like you allude to the numbers, yes, but I also think the Self might have a bit to do with it. And I don't know. I mean, Arkansas, we were talking about Jekyll and Hyde teams. Arkansas is right up there. We talked about teams yesterday, like, oh, wow, they, come in, take away. A&M came in, had a nice win over this team, but then they come out and lay eggs here. Here's another prime example. We got Arkansas coming to town,
Tennessee was Jekyll and Hyde first half, second half.
Tennessee, I mean, I had them. That was one of my losers. And boy, oh boy, Jesse, they were up 48-30 with less than 10 minutes to go, and they got outscored by 15 points in the last 9 minutes of the game.
That sums up how my
lucky
day
to hang on.
That's Tennessee. That's Tennessee. And
Yeah.
Houston does that too sometimes. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, they kind of just say, oh, all right, we'll just play defense and we want to make it
But-
interesting and not score for the next 8 minutes to see if we can pull this out. It's
the
crazy the way those two teams play.
The difference, in my opinion, between Tennessee and Houston is Houston's much more consistent on the offensive end.
Yeah.
They do, like yesterday, they do lay some eggs on the offensive end, have some off games, but they're able to overcompensate that with their defense. But Tennessee, my big concern going into the tournament, I just thought that line was so high, guys, that they have to be to play. Obviously, I was wrong, but one of my main concerns, and I said it at one of our other shows, I'm not sure if it was with you gentlemen or Doug Upstone, that Tennessee was an early round exit waiting to happen, and I still believe that. Now they got Duke. Tennessee goes through stretches where they just don't score for 4, 5, 6 minutes at a time. And you can get away with that during conference play against some inferior opposition or non-conference inferior opposition. But at this time of year right now, as you advance in the tournament, you're asking for disaster. So we'll see what transpires there without showing my hand too much on what I'm going to take on Saturday. In any event, Sean, Missouri and Princeton. Missouri, nice surprise this year in the SEC. Nobody saw that coming. And they really played well down the stretch, and they carried that over into the round one win over Utah State. Correct, guys? Again, I believe that's who they beat. And they're taking on a Princeton team coming off a monumental upset. And, I was telling Jesse, I watched the first 10 minutes of that Princeton-Arizona game, and I'm saying I'm going to watch the other games because it looked to me like Arizona was so much better, and it was just a matter of time before they put Princeton out of their misery. But apparently that didn't happen, Sean. So how do they come back from that big upset win against an upstart Missouri team?
Well, I faded Missouri in the first game, and I had the over. Both of them went down there in flames with Utah State. And as Princeton, I got to say, I thought, and I think I said yesterday in midday morning, I think Arizona will probably pull away late. Just their size would eventually get to them, and it'll be like a 5-6 point game. It'll eventually break out because the crowd won't be there for Princeton as it gets further away and stuff like that. But man, I think Princeton here, they're going to have a shot. Yes, I think they do because of how they won last game. And this is why I kind of like the under here. It's a 150-ish one. I saw 149 in one spot, a lot of 150s and random 151 out there. But I think that for Princeton being this, what they got to do, control the pace. That's what they did last game. They just said, we're playing this game. Arizona's like, okay, we'll play your game. We can beat you. We're better. And you know what? They weren't. They were not better. And that's all with Princeton. They shot 4-25 from three, not good. 5 free throws. It's not like it's like 3 points at the line. These guys weren't stopping the clock and you're putting points on the board. I think you'll see that here out of Missouri as well, because this is a team that, believe it or not, if you look at some of their scores here, they've been under in tournament time. They were under in their first game in here in the NCAA's SEC tournament. They got under there as well. You look back on them, I just see unders based on this number here. So defensively, okay, Missouri's want to run. They want to play pace like Arizona did. But I just think Princeton, for them to have a shot, and they're, again, you come out of these Ivy schools, or if we want to talk Furman or any kind of small school that pulls an upset, they got it because they played their game and it was dictated to the other team. So one team here is going to play their way. And they got to say, hey, to us to be in this slow pace, less possessions, keep them under 60. There we go. 60 possessions at it. You don't want them racing up and down the court on you. And again, Utah State against Utah State, Missouri didn't shoot well. 420 something from three. So here you go, another defensive program coming in with Princeton. I'm going under. All
right. So Sean likes Missouri and Princeton to go under the total 150. Yeah, I think for a guy who plays a lot of college basketball totals and myself, my opinion with Missouri is their totals have been inflated down the stretch because if you look at the first half of the season, guys, they played a lot of high-scoring games. My question to you, Jesse, is you know the way I am. I'm a conspiracy theorist when it comes to when they put lines out, okay? Not conspiracy, but I'm more or less looking to say this doesn't make sense to me. A Southeast Conference team in round 2 against an Ivy League team and only laying 6.5. Does this send a red flag up to you, or is this one of those situations where you're going to say, I'm still going to go with a favorite in this situation?
Well, Ross, I lean that way. I want to take the favorite, especially if that line gets down there, and I think it's a little artificially too low. But I don't think so in this case. I was impressed with Princeton as much as Arizona beat Arizona, in my opinion. That being said, Princeton fought hard. They kept on coming. I was impressed with their grit and their fight, and I'm not that impressed with Missouri. So 6.5. I'd probably lean towards taking the points in this one.
Yeah,
I'm a guy who doesn't like dogs.
And if this game was played 10 years ago with Princeton has really evolved offensively. And that's why we're looking at, you would have never saw a Princeton game at 150. I don't care who they were playing. But this isn't the Pete Carrill Princeton system anymore, where they bleed the clock and try to get a backdoor cut with 5 seconds to go on the shot clock.
That's UCLA, right? UCLA to beat defending champs.
Yeah.
I remember that game. It was like 46,
memorable
44
moment, right? Yeah. So anyway, all right. So there's opinions on that game. Let me get to mine. San Diego State and Furman. I had both of these teams yesterday. They were 2 of my 3 winners, the other being Penn State, by the way, guys, as an underdog by 20 or so. And
all right.
And then
I
was on the other side of that one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. In any event, I'm just breaking it down like this, guys. I watched San Diego State play yesterday. I thought Charleston played one hell of a game. They stayed with a team that was bigger, more athletic, and is extremely good defensively. And I think this is a bad matchup for Furman here. I just think compared to Virginia, especially in the front court, it's just San Diego State's relentless on the offensive glass. When they decided, okay, we're going to get away from our perimeter game and just keep dumping it down low. They were dominant when they did so. They veered away from that, and that's when they allowed Furman to get back in the matchup, or Charleston to make the game closer than it should have been. But again, Furman's a nice story. Somewhat of a little bit lucky down a stretch, I want to say. I mean, Virginia missed a couple free throws with less than 20 seconds to go, and then they throw the ball away with less than 10 seconds to go.
Crazy.
And Furman hits a 3 with 2 seconds to go to win. Give them credit; they won the game. But I just think San Diego State is more one of those NCAA tournament teams. Their style can create a lot of problems for whoever they face. They're going to be difficult to blow out by anybody. And they catch a really good draw here against Furman in round 2. And I think they're poised to take advantage of that and move on to the Sweet 16 and do so in a decisive manner. So I am going to take San Diego State, lay the 6 against Furman. I don't know, Jesse. Is this one of the favorites I'm on the right side of?
This is one that I like, Ross. I do like this one.
All right. And Sean?
Yeah, I'm with you on that game here. I like San Diego State. And thank goodness, you have a chance here because they put San Diego State, Charleston, and Furman with a big upset. So you have 3 kind of like smaller schools, but they're all going to eliminate each other because we have to get all the big names in there. That's my mini rant today. The opposite side of that thought process, though, Sean, is one of them is going to get to the Sweet 16. Yeah.
That's the way I look at things. You're sure. I mean, again, it's a different mindset, but I love matchups like this in round 2 because we could look forward to a somewhat of a Cinderella getting to the Sweet 16. I don't know if you want to put San Diego State in that category since they've been a top 25 team.
I think of them as like a poor man's Gonzaga. Like they're always kind of solid, like a Sweet 16. They've been there before. they're just like leading their conference all the time, but they got to get over that hump. They got to go on they got to get a Final Four. Who are we talking about?
Mountain West
I like
Conference since 2017, by the way, 1-13 in the NCAA tournament. Their lone win was San Diego State yesterday. After a terrific year by the Mountain West, they had 4 teams qualify. All of them played yesterday, and they went 1-3. So much for the Mountain West Conference saying that we're one of the top conferences in America. Yeah, you are, but you still have a lot to prove when it comes to tournament time. All right, so let me review. Jesse Schul, he likes Kansas -3.5 over Arkansas. Sean Higgs, he likes the Missouri and Princeton game to go under 150. And I said, oh boy, when Sean agreed on the San Diego State game, and I saw Jesse smile because when all 3 of us are in the same game, we tend to think, oh boy, is our thing game. Well, but we've won a few like that. So again, just kidding, folks. So there we go. San Diego State -6, Missouri Princeton under 150, Kansas -3.5. Jesse, what do you got coming up today and the rest of the weekend that you could foresee?
Well, I'm calling it my revenge tour, Ross, after coming up short yesterday. Like I said, I'm brimming with confidence. I still feel good about everything in my strategy. And I will warn people, the people out there that are chasing dogs, specifically the 5-12 seed chasers. Both the 12 seeds lost and failed to cover yesterday. Now you're in a situation where you need them both to win to get your money back today. And it's going to be tough. So, as I say, I think chasing dogs is a fool's errand. Everybody talks about the 2 dogs that won. Nobody's talking about the 5 favorites that won by 20 plus. I'm going to apply that strategy today, and hopefully it bears fruit. You can see me at Jesse Schul on Twitter, see me at jesseschul.com, and Jesse Schul Picks on YouTube.
Jesse, I've been on a revenge tour since my first divorce in 1987. Anyway, Sean, tell the folks what you got and what you may have coming up.
I was going to hit him too, like revenge tour. Guys, 1 losing day. I've been 3-3, 6-5, 4-3, 3-4 for like the last month and a half. And this guy's talking revenge. Instead of just a bounce back day because he's hitting 6-7%, he's a revenge tour. Like me, what am I on a scorched earth tour? I'm like Christ incarnated coming back.
He went from 63% to 60%. Poor guy.
I mean, Oh, the pain. Oh, here's the world's smallest violin, Jesse. 60% college basketball. Come on. Mr. Sean Higgs on Twitter. The Midday Money Show. It's on all the podcast channels, YouTube. Come check it out. Today I have 11 college hoops games today. Some favorites too, Jesse. I got some faves today,
Yes.
And I agree with Jesse. As much as I'm a kind of a dog guy, you have to, you can't just blindly say, I'm taking every 10 or 13 and 12. You can't do that. That does not work.
It's no-brainer handicapping.
No.
You can't do that. So you got 11 picks today in the NCAA. Let me see.
Yeah.
11 picks out of the 16 games in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
So
I had a couple late as a couple I came a couple in on a few games after actually doing a couple shows with you. I was like, you know what, I grabbed a couple. I'm like, I did at first I didn't like it, but then as you dive into a game, and this is the problem, and I'll be short as a mini rant here, and I'm sure you guys could agree. You look at this card and you're like, all right, here are all the games. These all jump out at you. You like these games, and you go into them and you look at them and you find your game. But then as you do stuff for other kind of videos and things, you start digging into another game you weren't really kind of looking at, and then you're like, you know what? I think I have an edge on this game. Right? Am I right or wrong? Do you guys do that at all? Or
yeah,
no?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I sometimes it grows. Usually I don't like to do day of kind of bets like that, but the day before. I want to be in. It's lines are out Sunday. I'm ready Sunday, Monday. I'm put them to bed and let's go.
Yeah, and if it works for you, fantastic. I've never been a guy who believed in the earlier the better. I don't oppose that theory, especially if you're winning. Like you, Sean. I mean, and Jesse, I'm not sure how early he puts picks up, for example, during football season, but I'm one of those guys in the NFL at the earliest, it's Friday morning. In college football, Saturdays, the earliest it's going to be is Thursday afternoon, Thursday night. I like to watch line movement and such. And it also has to do with my schedule when you do about 10 podcasts a week as well. Yeah. So as you well know, Sean, and Jesse, you're starting to know the preparation time that goes into doing videos and making sure your presentation and what your aim is for the subscribers and the viewers is, like I like to say, guys, and I'm sure you agree, our aim and goal here is with the people watching us is not only to win our free picks, but also make them a better handicapper today than they were yesterday. Make them a sharper sports bettor today than they were yesterday. And the same applies to our show tomorrow. We want to accomplish the same thing, even if you're a return visitor. Try to take away something that you could use in your sports handicapping arsenal as you go forward. You can find me at rbwins.com. That's rbwins.com. College basketball runs.
Russ,
Yeah.
I know you do wrap. Let me say something as you said that.
Yep.
I think with like the three of us, we come at games three totally different ways we look at things.
Yeah.
So I think like when people watch us, they're like, wow, you have three guys and they're not we're all over the place, but for the three of us, it's the chart is off the board to how we look at how we do our kind of stuff. But I think that kind of helps everybody because there's we said it before, not one way to skin a cat. You could do a lot of different things to make money. We throw our thoughts out there, right, Jess? Right. So
I honestly believe that I've become a better handicapper in the last 2 years since I started doing this video work with guys like Ross, Joe, John Ryan, a lot of the guys from Wager Talk, a lot of really experienced guys. Not that I'm also very experienced, but I'm open to learning things from other guys, and I believe that I have been able to do that. And I think that my records would suggest that that's helped me.
Yeah. And you know what, Jesse, I'm glad you said that because, there's enough money to go around in this industry. What you want to do when you do stuff like this is you got to be really selective of who you're with. I mean, take aside the personal issues. Look, if you don't get along with somebody and there's a personality conflict, that's one thing. That doesn't mean you deem them to be a bad handicapper. It just the chances are, if that's the case with me, you're not going to be on the show because you have to have chemistry too, right? But having said that, even the guys that you may not get along with or you don't have a high opinion from on a personal level, you may have a lot of respect for on a professional level in terms of how they do their handicapping. And the minute in this industry that you think you know everything is the minute you're going to get very stale and you're not going to progress whatsoever. So, Jesse, very good point. I'm glad you came.
Arrogance breeds ignorance. Isn't that?
Yeah, exactly. But, there's certain individuals I know, and I don't want to mention names. You guys know who I'm talking about. Certain individuals that just think they're better than everybody else, and everybody else's opinion, if it's not in agreement with theirs, is nonsense. So in any event, folks, that's not the case with us. I don't, there's a difference between being on a united front and still respecting each other when we disagree with our opinions. And we do that on occasion on this show. And I think that's what separates us from the rest in that regard. In any event, you can find me at rbwins.com. That's rbwins.com. 11-6 with my last 17, 15-9 with my last 24 college basketball picks. Also, my college basketball point spread sides 10-3 my last 13. College basketball totals 42-25, 63% with my last 68. And I hit another 10-star top play in college basketball yesterday with San Diego State. I got another one today. I have an underdog 10-star top play. I have 4 picks in all with sorry about that, folks. 4 picks in all with 3 of those, Jesse would be happy to know, 3 to 4 are favorites. So in any event, you can find me at rbwins.com and follow me at RossBenjamin1. That's at RossBenjamin1 on Twitter. For Jesse Shule, Sean Higgs, and Ross Benjamin, we like to wish each and every one of you all the very best, folks. Have a great weekend and follow our advice and make some money. Take care and God bless.